Yeah, once again going back to the whole like alien thing or interdimensional beings. That's what they call it in this movie, but they're aliens. Um,
I'm not saying aliens, but aliens.
but aliens. Okay, so here's what's weird about it though, because they also wanted to tie in the stuff with El Dorado, the city of gold, as well, which I thought that was weird for them to include the aliens with that because they could do something completely separate with the El Dorado stuff, you know. So it's like part of me's like, why didn't they just like go more into that? Well, we all probably all know why, because Lucas wanted to do aliens in here. But like, I don't know. It's really strange that they tried to mix the El Dorado stuff and the alien stuff together, because those two could be completely different plot points if they wanted to do that. So I don't know. I don't know. And then I will say like after the waterfall sequence, that's when the movie started to the pacing of the movie started to slow for me, because like it was just more all it was about them getting into the kingdom and reading inscriptions and like all that stuff. It wasn't as exciting as the stuff we gotten up until that point. And then the actual like reveal at the end with yeah, this shot was meme to death.
He knows what you did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, no, go back. Go back to DL. I know what you are.
Just like I'm sorry, like I like this is that shot was goofy. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, 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 no. I got one more, and it has to do with what I said earlier. One more. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, DL. I'm sorry. When I'm enjoying a show and then I see an incest plot line.
Okay, okay. So that's an inside joke. That was something we were talking about before we went live, by the way. So
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's me. My bad.
yeah. But I thought the actual reveal of the interdimensional beings, I did find that underwhelming. I did. Um, and I was willing to go with the plot line with the aliens. I was willing to go with it, but like I was talking about earlier, it just once again feels like them cutting corners as far as the visual effects and stuff like that. You know, like one of the other things that I really do appreciate that I know Meta doesn't appreciate as much is that when they do the shocking reveal of the artifact, we get some sort of shock factor with them, you know, and it's like the shock factor with this didn't really hit, and that part of it is because of the visual effects of the aliens. Like it wasn't like it didn't really look that great. Honestly, Spielberg did E.T., so it's like, why couldn't we get a practical alien? Like, just like one shot with a practical alien, you know? I think it would have just felt more tangible that way. And then Ruby, you talked about earlier with the interdimensional being giving the infinite knowledge to Spalco, but it was too much, and then she started combusting and disintegrating, right? I wish that scene was more shocking visually, because
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I liked from Raiders and Last Crusade. Like if when she was disintegrating, if it was more of a shocking image, like a more disturbing image, I think it would have hit more. But the fact that not only was it not really shocking or like disturbing, you could tell, especially that was an effect. Like she just disappeared. Like there's nothing really like shocking about that visual. And I feel like that the interdimensional beings things would have hit more if it was played up to be more disturbing and shocking, and it wasn't. And then the whole thing with the UFO coming out of the kingdom. I'm like, what?
Aliens.
What? What?
That
What's
that that's that it's Prometheus. It's like that's the only thing I could really think of.
Prometheus? I didn't even think of it like that, but you're absolutely right. It's Prometheus. And once again, very similar to the mushroom cloud, that also felt like a visual that Lucas always wanted to see. Like Indy standing in front of a UFO. And I
The
guess
effect doesn't look bad, to be honest.
No, it doesn't. But it's just I get what DL is saying though. It's like
It
that was
feels
on a
jarring.
that
to
was on a
see
bucket
it.
list or a checklist for Lucas that he wanted to do for an indie film.
yeah.
And I also want to say I want to give like context. Back when this film came out, one of the reasons I was mostly interested in it was because of the aliens aspect, because I was super into aliens at the time. And I thought them adding Roswell was clever and all this other stuff. But now I'm like, yeah, it still is. I mean, if you're going to do a story about aliens, you got to add Area 51. I mean, for God's sake, people almost died invading that base. You might as well like go with the meme at that point. But
I just wish they had a practical alien or something. Like,
well, I will say this though, DL. Again, this was if this was mostly a Lucas thing, Lucas does not go backwards. Remember that. In fact,
he
that
thinks
was one
using practical puppets is going backwards.
Yes, he does. He does. And I'm not saying I agree with that. I am saying though that even that's why that is why though for the special editions there's so much CG. And the biggest example of this, DL, that is why for the original version of Phantom Menace there's the puppet. But the re-release is CG Yoda.
Okay, but
You
like,
could say it's for consistency, but I really think it's because he does not want like the last century's special effects in his work. Like, he wants it to be this like cutting edge, state of the art thing. And again, the practical effects was one of the biggest things Lucas hated about The Force Awakens when he saw the early advanced screening.
oh, he's high on some cocaine for that. Now
He said y'all are going back. That's what his exact words were in Bob Iger's book was. He told Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, and J.J. Abrams, y'all went backwards. Like, y'all did not progress with like that's Lucas's whole thing. He loves progressing with cinematic technology.
But
and
you're
again,
you're not James Cameron, dude. You're not James Cameron. You're not attention to detail like he is. If you're going to do that, like that's the problem with that. And
You're the guy that's supposed to come up with all the ideas, not the guy that's supposed to like, try to
work on the intricacies of the visual effects. That's not your thing.
Yeah.
But I will say that Yoda thing you talked about with Phantom Menace, that's actually one of the few examples where that was good that he replaced it with the CGI Yoda, because the puppet in the original looked terrible.
I liked the puppet.
No, it looked bad. It looked bad.
In the Phantom Menace?
In the Phantom Menace, it looked bad.
It did look bad.
That was one of the few examples where I'm
Puppet Yoda.
glad.
It was too bad, but I mean,
I like the puppet in the original trilogy and The Last Jedi, but not in Phantom Menace.
I do have nostalgia for the Phantom Menace puppet Yoda. I do have nostalgia for that. I will admit that.
Oh, I do too. I'm not gonna disagree with
I
that.
remember going to Taco Bell and getting like the collector cups, and I remember like it's part of my childhood, and I will defend puppet Yoda, but
fine. But like, I'm sorry, going backwards? Are you sure, Star Wars fans?
even
you want
even
Lucas
like
to take
even
over
the special
Star Wars?
edition of the even the special edition of the original trilogy. People say that he had all that CG and it ruined perfect films. I think the only one that really damages it is the Return of the Jedi, because that scene with the singer just
Jedi Rock.
Oh God.
Yikes.
Yo.
Someone get Madonna. Someone get Madonna off stage now. Her plastic surgeon needs to try again.
Jesus Christ. But yeah,
That's the one CG scene that Lucas added to the original trilogy that I disagree with. That's the only one.
That and in A New Hope they had like that big walking alien thing just literally walk in front of the shot for no reason.
Wait. At what part in episode 4? Because I have a feeling I know what you're talking about.
When Ben and Luke are driving into
Mos Eisley Spaceport.
Mos Eisley, yep, and then you see this alien literally walk in front of the shot for no reason.
Yeah,
I defend that by saying that Mos Eisley is supposed to be like a hub. It's supposed to be a very busy hub. Like, that's like going to Atlanta and then not expecting anyone to be there.
I understand that. I
it's
mean,
a busy town is what I'm getting at. Like it's like they're on a desert planet, so those types of hubs are going to be filled to the brim with people, just like a old western town kind of thing.
I understand that, and I don't have a problem with him adding the other stuff in. Most honestly, it was just that one specific shot that just was a bit jarring. That was just weird. That this CGI thing just really walked in front of the shot. It was.
I don't know why. I don't know why, but thinking about all of that made me think of the alien with the gas mask.
Yeah.
Oh, the Imperial spy.
I kind of wish that design stuck around for the Imperial spies because I thought it was awesome. I was like, this is just weird, and I think it's funny.
But
anyway.
yeah, like so.
But yeah, I'm just saying though that's what Lucas has gone on record saying, that like he thinks that movie making should always move forward with technology and make the most of what it's capable of doing, and that's why he now will use mostly special effects over any. He will not use practical effects. If he made a movie right now, I'm not saying he will, but if he did make a movie right now, I guarantee you there's a 97% chance he will only use CG.
And this is one of the reasons why this is why I don't want George Lucas to take Star Wars back, because he still doesn't fully understand everything about the filmmaking process. As far as that, there are really great examples of really good practical effects today. For him to look at The Force Awakens and I guess the rest of the sequel trilogy and say that the practical
it was just The Force Awakens. It was just The Force Awakens.
Okay, he's completely out of left field with that. I'm sorry. I completely disagree with him. Like I understand that like he was upset that that they were doing the same story over and over again, which I understand that part. But as far as him saying that there's no place for practical effects, no.
Well, I mean, I see, like, I get what he's trying to say is that, like, we're in, like, this fully technological age where anyone's imagination can be put onto the big screen with enough people that know what they're doing, making the special effects, and, all it takes is just, getting those people together and making it happen. However...
And enough money.
However, just because that's possible, that doesn't mean that people aren't going to want to use practical effects instead because it's cheaper. I'm relatively certain it's cheaper to have practical effects versus CG.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
so it's practical, it's cheaper, but also if the vision calls for practical effects, then let them have practical effects. But I get his mindset. I think it is a bit skewed. He's trying to look toward the future in a way, but it's a very narrow look into the future.
Well, if you really want to look into the future, you should think of more innovative ways to make the practical effects look better. Because here's the reality of the situation. I understand what Lucas was trying to do with the prequels. If you could really look at that, like that's the first of its kind of having a full-on CGI environment like that. He paved the way for stuff like Avatar and Jungle Book and all that stuff. So I commend him for doing that. But what he has to understand is that practical versus CGI, practical will always feel more visually tangible than CGI. Unless you're James Cameron, which he is definitely not. He's not a perfectionist when it comes to that. It'll be one thing if his visual effects were like on that similar level, but the fact that he's trying to argue that his effects in the prequels are better than anything that was done in the sequel trilogy as far as practical effects, that's no. Just no.
He didn't say that.
He's indirectly saying that. He's indirectly saying that.
No. He what he's just saying though is that like CG is the future, but he's not saying like I did it better when I did the prequels. The prequels are the way that all films should be. He's just saying he perceives puppetry and all that to be old school and old fashioned, and him as a creative personally is not going to do it. But he's one of those people that's like, this should be the standard, and it's like, well, it's not, George, because honestly, It's a very small list, but one of the things I did like about The Last Jedi was seeing Puppet Yoda come back.
I did too.
Puppet Yoda, best Yoda.
Yeah. Well, it depends because Vatimus still didn't look good. But sorry, man. I'm sorry. I like the other.
Listen, Yoda was going through his. He had just gotten off of crack. Not crack, not crack. I'm sorry. The meme is Ketchermine. He was addicted to Ketchermine. He was invaded the borders of Yugoslavia. He did.
He looked like he just came off the set of Dark Crystal.
I mean, to be fair, wasn't that also a George Lucas picture?
Or is it?
No, I'm sorry. That was Jim Henson.
Henson.
That was Jim Henson. That was Jim Henson.
Yeah, but yeah. Enough of the tirade about CGI and practical. I'm pretty sure you got the idea of that. But yeah, I think that the interdimensional beings thing would have hit hard if there was a practical puppet. At least we had a couple of shots with the practical puppet, and having like when Spalko got killed, I wish it would was a more shocking, disturbing visual. I think it would have hit people better.